Welcome back to DQP Does, the Drafty Quarters Podcast Network movie review show, where we go through a turnstile and come back out the other side doing the moonwalk. With me this evening... is the squawker, Russell.
I'm squawking here.
What the fuck? Now I need Barry to take that whole thing and then reverse it and play it, and then we'll come back around. I'm just kidding. Don't do that, Barry.
Please do. I hope he does that.
We also have Dave.
What up? It's Dave, you squawk boy.
Oh my god. This week we watched Tenet.
I watched it backwards though.
Did you? It's probably made more sense that way. Came out in 2020, PG-13, 2 hours and 30 minutes. So real quick synopsis. It's
Do it backwards.
no.
Let's run that joke into the ground.
We're now a gimmick podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give this movie an 8.5.
God damn it. Starting at the end.
I'm starting at the end. You go forward.
Oh, no. We're not doing that. Okay. So it's Bond with some timey-wimey stuff.
Dude, I would totally watch the John David Washington Bond movie.
Yeah, 100%.
That
like
would
all
be
the other guys
amazing.
that, a lot of people are like, we should have a black Bond. And like a lot of the other guys that we've talked about doing that, I don't know if we've talked about it on the show, but
I don't think so. We have.
because we talked about Idris,
Yeah,
obviously,
Idris.
would be a good one.
Yeah, for sure.
Kill it.
He's British.
A lot of people talked about like, whoa, Dave, don't fall.
Sorry, I went through a weird time loop and almost died.
A lot of people have talked about, God damn it, the guy that this guy's replacing because he sounds exactly like him.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, you do. We talked about it last night. John David sounds exactly like
Oh, Denzel Washington.
People have talked about Denzel.
Yeah,
He's too old.
yeah. He could play. Okay. Oh God. Okay. So this particular James Bond movie starts off with Denzel Washington in a bar retelling a story.
Yeah,
And then
but it's actually John David playing him.
And it's John David
Oh.
playing younger him.
All right.
Because he does. This guy,
Dude, seriously,
like,
just close your eyes
yeah.
and watch this movie and you'll be like, is that Denzel?
He has the charisma. You said it, and I was like, fuck. That's why it's one of the reasons I love this dude so much, because he does. He has the charisma. I mean, he's like in better shape than I think Denzel's ever been in, but
Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, the synopsis here.
Yeah.
Basically, John is a CIA operative, and he gets caught during a mission where they like pick up some weird shit, and they think it's supposed to be plutonium, but it's in a weird container that he's never seen before. And they get caught by the guys that are trying to steal it, but they don't lose it to them. They somehow get it back to someone else. It's real confusing, and some weird shit happens. And he dies because he takes one of the cyanide pills, right? Because everybody knows about, like, if you're in deep cover or part of a Black Ops mission or whatever, you got a fake tooth or a pill hidden on your shoulder pad or whatever that you're supposed to take to kill yourself so you don't give up any information.
there's a cyanide pill in all of your teeth. Do what you want with that information.
Yeah. Final. Not really, people. Don't believe that. That was Rick from the newest episode of Rick and Morty. So, but not by the time this airs. It's the first episode of season 5. But anyway, so he wakes up on a boat, and I can't remember this guy's name, but he's in a bunch of shit.
It's the CIA agent from Weeds.
Oh, it's the Hydra dude from Ant-Man.
Yes.
What the fuck's his name? It'll be in here somewhere. What the fuck? Josh Stewart is in here? Weird. I didn't know he was in it. Sorry, guys. It's I've been watching too much Criminal Minds. He's Will in Criminal Minds. JJ's husband.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't see him on the list. But anyway, watch the movie. You'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so he basically gets recruited into this super secretive group, in that they're so secretive that they don't have like a name for the group or like a hierarchy of anything. They're just like, if somebody says this shit to you, introduce yourself, and maybe they're a good guy, maybe not. And you're like, what? That's some secretive shit, bruh. And the most secret. And he eventually, gets picked up from a wind farm in the middle of the sea that he gets dropped off at by this guy that recruits him. And he gets taken to the shore. Somebody like dead drops him a car, and they have the nav on already to go to this place. So he goes to the place and he meets this chick, and she's like a scientist, and she tells him that there's shit moving through time backwards. Now just think about that for a second. There's shit moving through time backwards. So like,
but don't try to understand it.
No, don't try to understand it, because there's some plot holes going on in here.
Just feel it.
Yeah, just take it for granted, because this movie does.
I was feeling it.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I like the movie. There are some plot holes, but I mean it's real hard not to have plot holes when you're talking about time travel, because it's you basically have to have a concrete version of what you have for it to be completely impossible to have plot holes, which it's not a real thing that we know of in science today, so it's impossible for people to have a concrete version of it that is bulletproof.
Correct.
So it's just going to happen.
Right.
If you have time travel, it's going to have plot holes.
I do want to say that what they did with the time travel in this movie, like the way they're explaining it, has a lot to do with theoretical physics and our understanding of time today.
Right. Oh, so I wanted to explain this so that it makes sense to people. And if you've watched the movie and it still doesn't make sense, I feel like when I thought this to myself, it made a lot more sense. And like I got what was happening in the movie, but it made more sense when I thought of it this way. That you think of time as a line. Because I was trying to think of how to explain it. You think of time as a line. Well, think of that line as a street, and we're used to being on one side of the street. And then in this movie, they figured out how to do a U-turn.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
To get on the other side and go the other way. That's basically all it is, right? And that includes, you don't want to touch someone else, you on the other side, because that's a head-on collision. You die, so on and so forth. It's basically like a highway. There's always people going in both directions, which also matters. But there's a predominant flow of traffic, and it's always, you've always thought of it going in the one direction, but sometimes you can turn around and go the other way.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, they basically figure out that someone in the future has figured out time travel, or sort of figured out time travel. They figured out how to go the other way, and they can leave objects that move backwards in time. And they themselves can go through and move backwards through time. And what the movie is about is, at first he thinks it's about trying to stop this guy who's like a billionaire arms dealer. He thinks he's like doing something with people from the future, like they're just helping him. But then he eventually figures out that it's a doomsday weapon that was like the original cause of this, and it basically will reverse the normal, like the predominant flow of time, and it will cause some kind of cataclysm. So, because like, think of the fall doesn't kill you, it's the sudden stop at the end. Well, if not only are you stopping, but then you start going the other way, the force will destroy everything, is kind of the idea that I gathered from how they said the doomsday shit would work.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. So, they find this out. They find out that for some reason, someone in the future is trying to get this Russian billionaire arms dealer to, which he's never actually been an arms dealer, right? You figure that out eventually. Like he does it as like it's like a third level front for what he's actually doing. He's literally just like getting gold from the future and like clues as to where the pieces of the doomsday weapon that they had are in the past. So that's like what he's doing, right? And so he finds out that this guy's collecting all this stuff, so then he's got to try and stop him. And the piece of the plutonium that he thought was in a weird case was actually part of the doomsday weapon, and it's the last piece, so he's really got to stop him from getting it. And there's a bunch of hijinks, time travel. It's not really time travel. It's time redirectioning hijinks.
Yeah.
So people going forwards, people going backwards, and then going to the other end, and then everybody turning around and trying to do it again. It's really interesting. And it's also like it made me think that part kind of made me think of some Watchmen vibes of Dr. Manhattan, where like everything has already happened and is happening, and but it's all at the same time, so like everything exists at once. But there's like some weirdness in that too, which is part of the problem of time travel in movies. But they go on, and the arms dealer's wife plays a big part in it. Kat, basically, John ends up, the protagonist is what he's called, ends up like trying to save her and trying to help her get out of the relationship because he's like super abusive, because he's a bad guy. So bad guys are always like super abusive pieces of shit, right?
That dude is a big piece of shit.
I mean, he was a big piece of shit. It's just an interesting trope to me. Like they're always like controlling douchebags and like blackmail or like beat the woman into submission and shit. It's I just thought that was interesting. You never see like a bad guy that's a good husband, right?
Well, I would bring up Wilson Fisk because
that depends on the iteration of him, but like in Daredevil, if that's what you're talking about, the Netflix show,
when he's in Daredevil, so when he's the Spider-Man villain, usually he's a huge piece of shit and you don't see a lot of Vanessa,
right?
But
you mean in the
when
comics?
He's in the comics, even like the portrayal of him in the Daredevil series is like a portrayal of him in the Daredevil comics. Like he is like a good husband and he will do anything for her. Yeah, and like
you see that in that where he like it stops becoming about him and starts becoming about her.
Yeah, and that's it,
that's an exception to the rule. Yeah,
but. You're right. There's not a lot of that.
No.
But that's one of the reasons I personally like Wilson Fisk as a character is because
he's
of his
a real
relationship
character
with Vanessa. Yeah.
So like that's a small thing, because I mean it's a really normal thing, but I feel like it could have been a place to make this movie better. But anyway.
Oh yeah, for sure. I agree.
To making that guy have more depth.
Yeah.
Would have been interesting. He was like the generic Russian bad guy, arms dealer, rich dude.
It's easy to hate him. They made him easy to hate
they
him.
like make it really easy to hate him, and then at that point, I stopped caring because he's cardboard cutout of every other Russian bad guy, right?
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, that actor was good.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the actor.
Is what makes me like the character.
Yeah,
but there's a lot to talk about. Go ahead and finish your synopsis.
Sorry, I keep getting off on tangents here.
We need to go through the turnstile again.
Yeah, I know. I need to go through it. But anyway, so they go through some hijinks with the going backwards and forwards in time. There's like a car chase heist thing, which was pretty cool. The heist thing in Oslo was cool. With some foreshadowing shit. Where Robert Pattinson's in this. He's like the second, like supporting actor.
He has a name too.
He's Neil. Yeah. He actually has a name where like a lot of the characters have names. John is the only one I think that they just call the protagonist.
Yeah,
he even says, "I'm just the protagonist."
Yeah. Well, because he's dead, right? Like he doesn't have a name anymore. He doesn't have an identity. So anyway, they go on and like it turns out that hey, what's happened has happened. It always has happened that way. It always will happen that way. And I keep calling him the fucking Russian arms dealer. What the fuck was his name? He had like a semi easy to say name because they kept saying it.
Fuck.
Sater was
Sater. So Sater gets 241 was what the thing was because it was plutonium 241, but it is plutonium, but it's like in some kind of contraption to make it work with the bomb thing.
Yeah, it's plutonium. One of 9 elements needed.
Yeah. So he gets it, and so then they're like, "Fuck, we have to stop him." And Kat gets shot. And she's going to die because she gets shot by an inverted bullet. And Shia wasn't inverted at the time. And it's like spreading the radiation and shit. So they're like, we got to invert her because then it'll bring it out instead of shooting it in. And it'll regulate everything. So they do all this. And then they're like, okay, we got to go back to Oslo. And what were they going back to Oslo for?
The turnstile.
Oh, that's literally all they were doing.
That was the only way they were going to be able to get back.
Right. That was the only way they were going to be able to get back because they couldn't go back to this one. And they had to wait for her to get better. So they do that.
They just like hang out in a shipping container for a week.
Yeah. And they find out, and John, the protagonist, finds out that he was the one they fought coming out of the turnstiles the last time. And you find out that he was the one that Neil unmasked when they fought at the turnstiles last time because you didn't know how the turnstiles worked. Because you come out going forwards and backwards at the same time.
Yeah.
You go in one side going forwards and you come out the other side going backwards the same time that you're going forwards on the other one.
Yeah. So there's 3 of John in Oslo.
At the same time, yes.
Yeah, there's 2 of him moving forward
and one of
moving
him
backwards.
Right.
So
that's the plot hole.
When I first watched it, we'll have to talk about that because I honestly do not think there's only one thing that I think could be a plot hole that I still don't think is a plot hole, and I just think it's funny. But we'll talk about those in a second. But when I first watched it, I thought it was going to be Neil and John.
I thought it was going to be both of them. Yeah.
And then they explained the turnstiles, and I was like, huh? And then it goes back to that scene, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I liked it too. But anyway, so they go on, and then they got to go back because Kat is like, well, the one time that I think he would. So you find out that everyone's going to die if this thing goes off. And
past, present, future ancestors.
So, something that Sater said to Kat was that if I can't have you, no one can. When he was like about to kill her, and she says that that's how he feels about the world, because he's dying of pancreatic cancer, and so they're like, okay, where would he go to watch it end? And she had mentioned this time before where which is this is what proves the plot hole in my mind, where they had gone on vacation in Vietnam, okay, and they talked and they had a good time, and she tried to make everything better, but it didn't really feel right to her. So then she tried to talk her way out of it, because she'd already been trying to get out of the relationship. And he basically gave her the ultimatum of, if you give up all rights to ever seeing your son again, you can leave. And she didn't do it. She didn't take it. So then she goes back home with her son, still being in the relationship. And when she's leaving, she sees this other woman diving off the ship. And she said that she had envied that woman because she was free, because she could get away. But she couldn't see who it was because it was too far away. So they go back to that time, and that's, where they'll find the bomb in the city that Sator was born in. And it blows up the same day that they're in Vietnam. So they have this huge strike force of both forward and backwards people going through trying to stop this from happening. They do like a fake out where one goes to where they know it's going to blow up, and one goes to this other place where they think they can get through before it goes off. And this dude that wants to be Tom Hardy is with the protagonist, and they get down there, and there's already a dude down there, and he's already shot another dude, and like he's getting ready to set the bomb off because he knew they were coming. And you're like, what the fuck? And they're trying to get in, and they can't. And then Neil figures out what's going on, and instead of, he like goes to the turnstile and turns around and comes back out going forwards, because he was on the backwards team, and he comes out going forwards and tries to stop them from going down the tunnel, but he can't. So then he like drives up this path, and you saw him driving up the path earlier, but you didn't know it was him, because that happens like 17 times in this movie.
Very true.
Which is cool. I like that. I like how close the continuity is. But so he gets there, and he comes down and helps them, and but like he dies. Oh, he dies backwards again. So like he's there like 4 times in this part. So he sees them go down the tunnel, knows that there's a problem.
Yeah.
He goes and turns around, goes and drops a line down, picks them and the bomb up out of the thing so it doesn't get buried. They deactivate it somehow, because they never show him to actually deactivate it. She kills fucking Sator, and I'm like, they haven't done anything with it. They just pulled it out of the thing so it wouldn't get buried. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna go off.
No. It's not supposed to go off right then. It's supposed to get buried so that way it's there in the future. Because they're collecting it for the future.
Why doesn't he just set it off? That doesn't even make sense.
I don't know. But
Anyway, so they pull it out, and they go, and they come up, and they take it apart, and then Ives is like, I gotta kill you guys, and then they're like, do you? And he's like, yeah, I guess not.
Direct quote.
So then they break it apart, and they're all about to go their separate ways, and Neil's like, wait, I got one more thing to do. And so then he goes and saves their asses and dies.
He pieces it together though, like during that conversation,
right?
And that I like that part a lot.
Yeah,
because he's like putting it together. He's like, well, no one else could have picked that lock, so it had to have been me.
Yeah.
So then he goes and does it.
Yeah, and then there's like a really good farewell scene between him and the protagonist, where he's basically like, well, no, we've been friends for years and shit. And he's like, and like John's like, starting to fucking legit cry. Like that dude. So I'll get to that. But he like starts crying and stuff, and then Neil goes and changes back and goes and then dies. But then he leaves, and you find out during this conversation that the protagonist is the person that starts Tenet, even though he was just recruited by Tenet. Because Neil's like, have you figured out? Because earlier, the protagonist asked Neil who recruited him, and he's like, did you figure it out yet? You recruited me years from now. And he's like, what? And he like is fucking, his mind's blown, but eventually he figures it out. And the end is basically like, I'm in charge now, bitch. He kills the chick that like Priya. She was gonna like betray him, kill Kat because she's a loose end. Yeah. And he's like, no, I'm the one in control. I'm the one who says what loose ends are, and I'm the one that takes care of them.
I like when he says, when he's talking to Priya at the end, and he's like, he brings the call back, and he's like, I told you were going to have to start thinking about time differently.
Yeah.
Or the world differently.
Yeah. And he shoots her. And that's basically the end of the movie.
So good.
So, okay.
Better on a second watch. I want to preface everything I say next with, I read a review that said, this guy was like, if you have to watch a movie twice, the movie's bad. And I absolutely 150% disagree with that. I think the more rewatchable a movie is, the better it makes the movie.
Yeah.
I agree.
And the second time, so I watched this a couple weeks ago, and me and Shane watched it yesterday. This was my second time watching it. Watching it the second time, I was like, because the first time I was like, well, that was fucking convoluted and complicated and fucking nuts. Yeah. And then watching it the second time, I was like, oh my God, this movie's amazing.
Yeah.
I think I need to watch it a second time. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I honestly think I need to watch it a second time.
I wish before we did this episode, I would have been like, we need to watch this movie twice, but I didn't even think about it. I was just like watching it again, and I was like,
yeah. No, I could see that. And that might change my opinion on a couple of the plot hole type things, but one of the two of the bigger ones to me.
Yeah, let's start there.
Two of the bigger ones to me is there being that you can fold it up so much that there's multiples of you in the same room at the same time because you keep going back to the same time. Mm-hmm. When that basically you're basically getting split every time you go through a turnstile, which doesn't make sense because other characters are shown doing the things that they do before that, right? So like the first time you see the protagonist do something before he does it is the car flipping on the road during the heist.
Yeah.
Right? Where like you see Kat do something, you see Neil do something at the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Beforehand.
Before you ever even meet Neil.
Before you even meet Neil.
Yeah.
And like at that point, like before that point, there's only one protagonist. There's only one of him. And like to preserve, laws of physics, there's only one of you, right? Conservation of mass and energy and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you go into a turnstile and two of you come out, that doesn't make sense.
What do you mean by two of you come out?
Because one comes out going forwards and one comes out going backwards. Because yeah.
Well, are you talking about the proofing window? because the proofing window doesn't show you what's happening in time.
No, it shows you what is happening, basically what's happening before.
Right.
But if that's how it works, then there could never have been 3 of him in the same place at the same time.
Well, so there wasn't actually 3 of him in the same place at the same time, though, because
there were. Because there was 2 guys run out while he's standing there. So then there's 2 forward and 1 in reverse. Because he fights the reverse one, and Neil, who is not reversed, goes after the other one.
Okay, but
so there's 2 forward
yes,
and 1 reverse at the same time there.
So you have those 3, right? But 2 of those are the same guy.
All 3 of them are the same guy.
Well, no, right. But 2 of them are actually the same guy. Whereas like 1 is the past
version.
version.
They all exist in the same at the same point in time.
Yeah, because that's the intersection. That's the intersecting moment when reverse John David and future John David are intersecting.
Yeah.
So that's like the intersecting moment for that version of John David, which is the same version, and then the other version of John David that's
okay. So what you're saying
at the same time is past John David that we met earlier in the movie.
So if you went, so that still doesn't work, because then you have parallel universes. Because if you go into a turnstile and you come out going backwards, right? Which is initially what you have to do the first time, right?
Right.
So then you're no longer moving forward in time.
You're moving reverse.
You're moving backwards. So the guy that was going forward is gone. He's in the other side.
Right.
Right? So you just folded it. Okay?
Yeah.
So then you can run into that one. The one that you are. Because that one's still there. But you aren't going to run into another you from another future because you haven't gone back there yet. And like the times would never meet up. Because like of how like in okay.
So I think Shane has a point.
Yeah.
Right now I'm kind of doing that like toy monkey with the symbols. That's going on in my head right now. But I'm trying really hard to figure this out.
So okay, so like you go and you turn around and you go back 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay? So there's no you moving forward.
There is.
There isn't, because you left the forward lane and started going back.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah. So
then if you go forward, you turn around and start going forward again. So then there would be 3 versions of you at that time, but if they didn't intersect the first time, they would never intersect.
Agreed.
Okay, so you enter a turnstile and you start moving in reverse.
Yeah.
And you move in reverse because this is the thing that I think people misunderstood about the movie. You're moving in reverse in real time, but moving backwards.
Right.
So you're you, and you go into a turnstile and you move in reverse for 2 weeks. Okay? That version of you is eventually still going to catch up, and you're still going to live the 2 weeks after those 2 weeks. When you go back through the turnstile, you have to relive that time.
Right.
Right? So once you enter a turnstile, you're never you, like, again. You're never in that same continuity again.
Yeah.
Because you can't travel.
But once you get past where you first went in, that reduces the number of you
to 1. Right. That's what I think makes it make sense.
Okay.
Because like if you think about it like a mirror, so like if you have 2 mirrors, then you're standing in front of the 2 mirrors, you're seeing 3 versions of yourself, right?
Yeah.
But the only time when you're in front of those mirrors that you can be one person is if you're right up on the mirrors. So there's always that few seconds where you're all in one spot. And then you moving backwards, if you move backwards away from the mirror, eventually you dissipate in either direction off of the mirror. So you moving backwards, essentially, eventually, you are no longer existing in that same time frame. Because like it's hard. It's the thing that I think they struggled with capturing in the movie is like I feel like you would just blink out like at a certain point. Like if I entered a turnstile and I was moving backwards and you were standing there when I entered the turnstile, you wouldn't see me start moving backwards. Because I would no longer exist in your view.
Right.
I would just immediately start moving backwards, which is what they tried to do it, but I feel like it was lost.
Hiding it in the turnstiles was a mistake.
Maybe. But I think that's what the proofing window was for. I think that's the plot device of the proofing window, was to show that you wouldn't ever actually see you in real time. You know what I mean? And the part that gets really convoluted is when Sator is talking to John David before he shoots, because he's in the window, but the guy in the window is not the same guy talking to John David. It just looks like it. But he's on a radio, and they didn't... There's a lot in the movie that you have to assume. There's elements there to show you, or for you to listen to prove like what's going on, but there's a lot they didn't over-explain, which causes the movie to be extremely confusing. So, like when when John David is in the chair and Sator is talking to him through the window, Sator's voice that you can understand is coming over a radio.
Right.
So he's talking to John David and it comes out backwards.
Right.
But he has to say all of that again over a radio for John David to understand what he's saying, which is why you get it twice. But they don't explain that in the only thing that's there for you to understand that is the distorted sound of the rush of Sator's voice over a radio.
Right.
So like they don't, and that part was fucked. But watching it a second time,
I liked that part a lot.
It was done really well. But watching it the second time, I was like, because the first time I was like, how is that? That doesn't make any sense. What is happening? And then the second time, I was like,
made total sense to me.
I was like, oh, he's talking through a radio. Okay, that does make sense. Because I was so enthralled watching this movie the first time, I was just like, oh my god, this is insane.
Yeah.
But
it's a pretty wild movie.
So, but to your point, like, I get what you're saying. I think that what they were going for was that when you're moving backwards, you like blink out of that. Yeah. So like you're literally moving backwards through time, which is really hard to depict on screen.
Yeah.
So then if that's how it's supposed to work, which I mean, that's sort of how I had it in my head working. I guess, I don't know. I just didn't think it through all the way to completion. But yeah, I mean, like if that's how they meant it, then that isn't a plot. That particular one isn't a plot hole. And the other thing that I was thinking about wasn't a plot hole, because they talk about inverting Kat to change her, or to like fix her wound, right? But it doesn't fix it all the way, which is interesting to me too, because she still got shot, but it changes the radiation. Like,
yeah, so the way I understood it was that I want to clarify. When Sator shoots Kat, Sator is inverted, Kat is not.
Right.
Which is why the inverted bullet hurts her
more.
But yeah, hurts her more than a normal bullet, and in a different way. But also, when Sator shoots Kat, it isn't happening at the same time that John is watching it because of the proofing window. So like we see it as if it's happening at the same time, but it's not, because of the proofing window and time. It's wibbly wobbly stuff. So it's happening slightly.
Well, that's because we're experiencing both timelines not simultaneously. That's why it's
Right.
not happening at the same time in air quotes.
right.
Because we see it in that particular part, we see it as Sator experiences it, right?
Yes.
Because we see him go into the turnstile after it happens and then come back through and do it
yeah.
again, like backwards.
yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck? And
Yeah.
then you figure out like how it works and shit, because you haven't seen the inverted side yet,
Right.
until that moment,
Yeah.
which makes it really fucky
And prior
and
to
really
that-
cool.
You're like, why do they have masks on?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like, why do they need oxygen?
right.
But yeah, that scene, it's fucking nuts. Like this whole
Yeah,
motherfucking movie. So I'm a whore for time travel. We haven't done a lot of time travel movies.
no,
So and I'm a dirty whore for good time
Predestination.
travel. Predestination, in game, with their what?
the fuck was that? In game.
It's a movie.
Yeah,
It's a
I
Marvel
love in
movie.
game for the emotional experience. I wasn't super happy about them doing time travel, but I didn't hate the way they did it, and it's given us Loki.
Yeah, I don't know what there is to not like about it. We got a fucking new Loki show, even though the motherfucker's dead.
Yeah. I just still feel the same way I felt before, where I was like, "Don't do time travel, don't do time travel, don't do," and then they did time travel, and I was like,
and then they did it well, and you were
they
like,
did, and
still like,
I'm okay with it, but I'm still also like,
I'm a whiny bitch, but I love this movie that's all about time travel.
yeah.
I typically don't like time travel stuff. Like I don't mind it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Well,
I liked this.
okay, so usually it's not what the movie is about. Usually it's a crutch to fix a problem.
That's what
Yeah.
I don't like.
Right. Where this movie, Predestination, that's like what those movies are about.
Yeah.
That's like the whole point
Or-
of this movie is about fucking time redirection.
A lot
Right.
of primary Doctor Who episodes are actually about the time travel.
Yeah.
Huge Doctor Who fan.
Right on. I know that Doctor Who exists. I've seen a couple of seasons.
That's fine.
More than me.
Shane
Yeah.
doesn't like Doctor Who.
I know there's robots that are like exterminate.
Daleks.
Yeah. They don't have arms though. You're talking about Cybermen, and they
Oh,
say assimilate or something.
assimilate.
Jesus.
They don't say it in the same cadence as the
Get the fuck out of here.
Daleks. Anyway, talking
Where's
time
your
travel, I
scarf
gotta bring
at,
up Doctor
bro?
Who.
I don't know.
My
They wear
scarf?
scarves, right?
No, I wear bow ties because bow ties are cool.
I
Sometimes I wear fezzes because fezzes are cool.
don't think fezzes are cool.
I'm giving away hints about who my doctor is.
My doctor is Doctor. No, I thought we were talking.
Bleep that out. I don't have a primary care physician.
So yeah, that scene with Sator shooting her is really good. But what I was getting at was, from my understanding, is if he shoots her with an inverted bullet, there is it's not just that the radiation is reversed; it's like a different radiation.
Yeah, but like, how does getting inverted help that? So that's kind of where I was thinking about this, was like, depending on how that works, the changing of how that wound works based on being inverted, then is there a way that you could cure Sator's pancreatic cancer
Okay.
with inversion?
Yes. So that is something that I was thinking of, was if the radiation being, if she gets shot in real time with an inverted bullet and she goes inverted and the radiation reverses itself and slowly dissipates, still leaving a scar because she's not reversing the shot.
Right.
She's just reversing the effects of the irradiation.
Exactly.
Then why doesn't that work for cancer? So
Exactly.
I also did wonder that.
Especially if it had anything to do with him playing with inverted radiation shit all the time.
Yeah.
Then going inverted would reverse the effects of the radiation. Yeah. So that's why I thought about it.
I kept waiting for them to explain that cancer was some sort of like just ridiculous entity, because it is, and like waiting for them to explain why he had pancreatic cancer, and they never really did, just that he did. And like I would have accepted, oh well, cancer doesn't work that way because it's cancer. Like might seem like
just a hand
out,
wave.
but yeah,
instead of completely ignoring it, at least give us a fucking one line about it.
Yeah, on why it wouldn't work. Because if your cells are moving backwards, then they should be de-regenerating into previously healthy cells. So like it would have made a lot of sense to me if he stayed inverted long enough, he wouldn't have pancreatic cancer. But then also like how long would he have to stay inverted? Like how far into the past would he have to go and then relive? Because that's my favorite thing about this movie is that like you have to time travel in real time.
Yeah.
Like you want to go back 2 weeks? Guess what? You got to be
chill
inverted
for
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and like that was something that I was thinking about, like depending on how far back and forward and stuff you go, like does being inverted reduce your aging while you're going in reverse? Because you would get so old so fast. I mean, you would experience all that time.
Yeah.
But like in the matter of 2 years, you could age infinitely, right? Because you could like go back a year and go forward 6 months and go back a year and a half and then come back a year and then go back 2 weeks and go back, you could just keep going back and forth across the same amount of time and like just get old in 2 years.
Yeah. So I think it
2 years is a random number. You could do it in a day.
It either stalls the aging process, but it makes more sense to me that it would de-age you as you're inverted. Because if you have 70 years to live, okay, let's say
say your
the movie is
your
kind
old
of
age
like
clock is 70 years,
and the movie is kind of like what's happened has happened. So like I like that too. That's my favorite kind of time travel is what has happened has always happened. So like when they go into the future, they always have to go back and do the thing that initiated the whole circle,
right?
Because time is a circle. A wibbly wobbly ball of
it's a gem that we insist on observing only one facet at a time.
Yes.
Time is a flat circle. I just wanted to say some shit. Sorry.
No, you're good. So
get out of here, Dave.
Oh man. Go pack up my microphone.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah, let's say your clock is 70 years. So you're going to live from, let's make it easy, 20, you were born in the year 2000, you're going to live to 2070.
Yes.
Like, the only time that you can experience, so based on the theory of this movie, the only time that you can experience is from 2000 to 2070.
Right.
You can't travel
past
50 years into past you dying. You can't travel back to before you were born.
Right.
And that this fucking dude, I love this movie. But and I love that idea because like it makes so much sense on like a realistic level. Like the thing from Predestination,
which also makes sense that there are not people from the future and the past.
Right.
They have to communicate through sending shit back.
Through objects. Yeah. So they can't just like show up and be like, hey.
Yeah. I'm from the future, motherfucker. Yeah.
So like, which makes a lot of sense too. So like, that's why I think it is, you go into the turnstile and you sit for 2 weeks, it de-ages you 2 weeks. You live up 2 weeks and then you're back to where you were when you went into the turnstile. I think as far as like age works.
I don't know. That's an interesting thought. Because then you also have How does that work? Okay, so I'm trying to figure this out. He started to get the wound from John stabbing himself.
Yeah.
So he was moving backwards through time, and the wound appeared and then got worse up until the point of him getting stabbed. So that would make me think that, yeah, he could, like, just go not have cancer. He could just go back and not get cancer. And, like, try to figure out what got him cancer. He could just, like, keep doing it.
Well,
because, like,
that also, so, like, that also assumes, so what
but
you're
that
saying,
also
though,
assumes that you can change
that
things.
you can change things. And the movie's very, very, very strict on what's happened.
Well, it's saying that, but, like, everybody keeps asking the question. They're like, well, we don't know, but as far as I'm concerned,
yeah,
what's happened has happened.
And, like, I think also them stopping the plot also, I think, lends to what's happened.
Yeah,
because they're not trying.
Because he asks that at one point, right? He's like, well, the fact that we're here means that we stopped it, right? And he's like, well, I like to think so, but we don't really know.
So, like, you're watching one of the versions of him go through the motions.
Yeah.
Like, I love the idea of, like, choosing our own destiny and, like, fate not deciding, like, what we do and who we are. But for some reason, like, the if it's happened, it's always happened version of time travel is my favorite.
Okay, so let's talk about, like, not the time travel part or the plot of the movie. Let's talk about, like, acting and other shit.
Yay, stuff I can figure out.
Sorry, Dave. We dove deep into the bullshit.
No, I was pretty quiet because I was just, like, taking this all in. Like, everything you guys said had a good point. And...
Yeah.
Well, before we move on, like, you said that you were confused. The movie was confusing.
A little bit. Like, I started to pick some stuff up here and there, and, like, I honestly think if I watch it again, it'll all click into place.
Yeah, I think you should watch it again before next week if you have time.
Oh, I was actually going to do this during my review, but I'll do it now. I was going to do a fun little segment where when we record next week, I'll watch Tenet before then, and I'll do a small little segment of my thoughts the second time.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Do you want to watch it a second time? I'll watch it a third time. We'll just do this episode again.
Tenet 2.
No, I'm just
Electric Boogaloo.
I don't know if I want to watch it again like that soon.
Boogaloo.
But anyway,
I actually, like, because I just watched it 2 weeks ago, then we watched it again yesterday, and I wasn't sure I was going to be as into it. So I was like, man, I just watched this, but I really want to do it for the podcast. And then we were watching it, and I was like, I'm just as enthralled as the first time.
Yeah. So, okay, acting. I have to apologize to Robert Pattinson about saying that he's dog shit because somebody made him be a sparkly vampire.
Exactly.
Not his fault. Not his fault. He's actually awesome.
Yeah, he's really good in this.
And that was the whole point of doing this movie. Thanks for tuning in to DQP Does. We'll see you later.
He's like, Russell's like, ha ha! Shane was wrong.
I haven't even mentioned his name. I was hoping you would say that.
Oh yeah, no, I'll own up to that shit. He was fucking awesome in this movie.
I thought pretty much everyone did a great job in this movie.
Yeah, I don't think there was really any acting duds. I mean, Michael Caine was just Michael Caine, but I mean, he was also like basically a fucking cameo.
Yeah. I loved seeing him. I love Michael Caine. So
I love him. It's just funny because he's gotten to that point in his life where he's just like the old guy that can just like come in and be like, oh fuck, it's Michael Caine.
It's me, Michael Caine. That's good, Michael Caine.
That was a pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good, Michael Caine. It was also a Christopher Nolan movie, so I mean, you gotta have the Michael Caine. Like he's done a cameo in every Michael Caine has done a cameo in every Christopher Nolan movie since
Batman, or before that.
And Christopher Nolan is Batman, right? He is Batman.
God dang it, Dave.
What? He's Batman.
Sure. Christopher Nolan is Batman. I
Christopher
mean, in
Nolan
real
is
life,
Batman.
he probably is Batman. He's very Bruce
You heard it here
Wayne-y.
first.
I think since The Prestige,
Oh, okay. That was
I think he's done a
is that
cameo.
before Begins?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
Pretty sure.
I don't know. Whatever.
Michael
if you
Caine.
know, I mean, instead of us taking 2 seconds to look it up on IMDb, if you know who it is, go ahead and hit us up on our email, draftyq@gmail.com.
I'm gonna go ahead and just tell you.
No, just let people email us.
Okay, email us.
Jesus Christ, we gotta
Please.
fucking start a conversation with our fucking fan.
I know. Fan.
We're just trying to start a dialogue
Just trying to start. This is therapy for us and our fans.
Please email us.
We need to talk.
Please email us. We're so lonely.
It's not bad news. I just want to talk. I just want to talk to you. If we could go to dinner and talk, that'd be great. But anyway,
Fuck, I hate being wrong.
I think he's not going to admit it on the show. Wait. If you think Russell is wrong about the first movie Michael Caine was in with Christopher Nolan, go ahead and hit us up at draftyq@gmail.com.
And we will wait till you email us
and
back.
we'll wait until we get word about that. We'll probably forget about it. I don't know. This might keep Russell up at night. You gonna get a word in edgewise, or are you just gonna stay quiet the rest of the show?
Nope, I was just gonna take it.
Okay.
I kind of want to do my Michael Caine impression again because apparently I could do a decent version.
Do it and tell me I'm wrong.
Well, Russell, you're wrong. It's me, Michael Caine.
Wow.
You know, it's much easier to take being wrong when a British person is telling you you're wrong. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for that.
That was actually Michael Caine, but you're welcome.
Oh, thanks, Michael Caine. Sir Michael Caine.
Yeah, Sir Michael Caine.
That's in the movie too,
Yeah.
because he's
Yes, he
like,
does.
I don't remember his name in the movie.
Yeah, he's like, I'm so and so's lunch, and you mean sir?
Sir
So-and-so's
so-and-so's
like,
Sir, so and so.
like,
Fuck, it's so good.
I assume you're correct. But I just want to say, I don't think I've ever seen John David Washington in anything.
I don't think I have either.
I have been following him since Ballers. So The Rock did a TV show
Yeah.
for HBO called Ballers.
Okay.
John David Washington plays a running or wide receiver, named Ricky. And since it was the first time I've seen him and everything, every time I see him, I always just want to call him Ricky. But this whole movie, I'm like, his name's Ricky. And then you're like, is his name just the protagonist? And I was like, fuck, his name's not Ricky.
Was that in? Was he in the first episode or two of that? Because I think I only watched the first two
he's
episodes.
in the holes. He's one of the Rock's
clients
throughout the whole series.
Okay, well,
And
I
he's
just
really
don't
good in
remember
it.
him in that.
And I immediately loved him. I was like, this guy is fucking awesome. And then he did The Black Klansman,
okay, I haven't watched that.
which is based on a true story of a black guy who poses as a hillbilly redneck to infiltrate
The Klan.
the Klan,
Mhm.
and then they have to get a white guy because he infiltrates
He's doing
the
it
Klan
over the phone. Yeah.
and he does this ridiculous white person voice, and it's fucking amazing. And then they have to get a white guy to play as him when it's time to go meet the Klan. And it was basically it was how they discovered the Klan was a hate group. They had suspected it, but it was how they proved it.
I mean,
And if you're listening to our show and you don't think the Ku Klux Klan is a hate group, then we don't want you to listen to our show anymore.
yeah, bro.
Yeah. I'm not one for losing listeners, but yeah, if you don't know that, get the fuck out of here.
Just gonna go ahead and throw that out
You
there.
actively disbelieve it. How about that?
That yeah.
Or a participant in it. You know it's a
Oh,
hate group, but you're a
yeah.
participant in
Yeah.
the Klan.
So Oh yeah, if you're a participant, please fuck off.
Yeah, I don't say this because I like most people. You could fuck yourself. I hate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of. Well, it's just like a political group, or read a lot of. Well, it's just a political. No, dude.
Who says that?
No, fuck off.
Don't put him on blast on the show. Anyway, this show has nothing to do with the Klan.
Dark.
But John David Washington was fucking phenomenal in this movie.
I agree.
And this is the first thing that I've really I guess I had seen him in 2 episodes of Ballers because it's all I've ever watched of that show, but that was when the show came out, 6 years ago. I don't even know.
Yeah.
And I don't remember it. So this is the first time, but it feels like the first time.
Like the very first time.
Yes.
Sorry, I wanted to sing.
He's also in Malcolm and Marie, the black and white Netflix show that I was watching when you got home that one day.
Oh, so I saw him for 5 minutes in something?
Yeah. Well, I was just bringing it up because I think everyone should watch that movie.
Okay.
That's such a good movie.
I think you've told me about that before.
I think you've talked about it on the show before.
I have. Because I watched it and I was like, I had depiction of a real life relationship fight. Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, him and Robert Pattinson blew me away. I really like the lady that plays Kat. I will open this up and tell you what her name is here in a second. Elizabeth something. Scroll up. Don't make me connect to the internet. God damn it. Elizabeth Debicki. Huh?
I said Debicki like the baby.
Okay. They were all amazing. Everybody else, was good enough. Or was good. One of the big gripes that I have with this movie is the weird feeling and big battle scene, because it had the stuff that are hallmarks of the movie, right? It had the weird shit happening because some stuff's moving forward and some stuff's moving backwards. Mm-hmm. It also had the hey, this character you didn't know was moving backwards while they were supposed to be moving forwards, or moving forwards while they were supposed to be moving backwards. They had that shit going on too.
Yeah.
And all those little things, but I feel like Nolan is not a war movie director. No, I'm okay. Just going off what? This scene does not look good the whole time.
We're going to watch Dunkirk tomorrow.
No, I'm not. We're going to play Call of Duty tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we got to play Call of Duty, watch Dunkirk, play Call of Duty. Oh, let's get a turnstile.
And do both.
And do both.
Okay.
Whoa. I'm in.
But just, okay, if you watch this.
No, it
looks like it no one's getting shot. There's nothing, you see 2 people die, okay, the whole time. And there's just no consequences to this.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It feels like a small time raid where the characters know exactly what's going to happen.
But there's also 300 people fighting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people.
Because there's twice as many of the regular people, of the good guys, and then there's twice as many of the bad guys, and they're there's shit tons of them just flowing over ridges and shit, and it's just nothing is happening, and the angles are boring and shit. When it's tight in on 2 or 3 people and something important is happening to those characters, it's interesting and looks good.
Yeah.
But when they're showing the battlefield, it's meh, some guys running around, sometimes they shoot.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Just your comment about Christopher Nolan not being a war movie director hurt a little bit.
I don't know. Maybe I'll think that after I watch Dunkirk too.
Maybe. I don't know. Supposedly it's really good. I haven't actually seen it.
Oh,
I
son of
liked
a
it.
bitch.
I enjoyed it. I saw it with my grandpa.
Okay.
I liked it.
I've heard lots of good things about it. I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
It's a good movie to watch with your grandpa.
It's the only Christopher
I'll
Nolan movie I
have to
have
get a
left to
turnstile
watch.
to do that.
To watch with my grandpa.
Fuck, that was dark.
Yeah. I'm sorry now.
Ooh.
You can watch with my grandpa.
Okay.
He'd be like, "Hey, big boy," and I watch this. That's my grandpa's. I haven't broke out my grandpa impression in the show yet, but it's my grandpa impression.
I do agree with you. The supposed raid war scene, whatever we want to call it, is kind of boring.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because of where it's placed too. It's the climax of the movie, right?
Yeah, I think all the little stuff saves it.
Yeah,
But it does get the one of the reasons I'm giving the movie what I'm giving it is because of
stuff like
the
that
war scene. Yeah,
yeah, because
they're
the same thing happens with the airplane when they crash the airplane into Oslo, into the Freeport in Oslo. When they're doing the stuff on the plane, cool angles, interesting. After the plane crashes and all the reverse and forward scenes after the plane crashes and inside the Freeport, interesting and awesome. When it's just showing the plane going at the building, it looks like it's moving slow. It like is slowly crashing into shit. Like it's just uninteresting and boring. And you're like,
yeah.
I don't even have a feeling of like unescapable doom that like normally like when you're like, okay, this thing is gonna happen. Oh no, it's giving tension to it.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, slow-mo crash. Cool.
I have a thing for the plane.
Okay.
Not right now.
Oh.
During
about
a special
that?
segment.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We'll get back to that in Dave's trivia
Did
corner.
Nolan actually hijack a plane and crashed into something without permits for this movie?
You're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to go on the corner.
Okay.
Okay. Now
Shane is just taking apart his microphone.
My
this
mic
entire
stand is
time.
now in 2 pieces. 3 pieces actually. The weight on the bottom, the adjustable larger tube are both unattached to the part that I have in my hand now.
So I would have, when they're dropping the gold out of the back of the plane.
Interesting. Cool shot.
I really wanted a shot from like underneath as if I was the road and the gold was falling.
Or you're
on
like
it.
on the
ramp.
landing gear watching it.
That would have been cool too.
It's like a symmetrical shot, like centered symmetrically with like the tail of the plane coming out over your head, and you're looking up at like the ramp and watching the gold fall out as you're moving backwards down the tarmac.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
It would have been a better shot than we got.
The only thing I can think of for some of the stuff is that, like, because there's quite a bit in the movie that is kind of like that. There are definitely, and it's super weird for Nolan to have boring shots. Like it like
yeah, because I remember fucking like Batman and shit. Like the sweeping establishing shots of the city and shit.
Yeah,
like the one in Hong Kong, beautiful shot.
Yeah, it's a great shot.
The one at the beginning of Dark Knight Rises or whatever, put the second one.
Dark Knight.
I'm Batman.
Yeah. Where, you're looking over Chicago before Joker starts his first heist.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful shot. And it's just like gray buildings in the daytime when they're not even interesting. And it's a beautiful shot.
Yeah.
And then like in this movie, it's like, oh, I don't give a fuck.
So there's so many cuts and shots in this movie, like throughout the whole movie. Like this, one of the things I didn't dislike it, but one of the things I noticed was how many different shots there were.
Mm-hmm.
Like just in general, just like throughout the whole movie, there's constant cuts, constant shots, like everything's changing. Like, and so the only thing I can think of is that like Team B came in and
did the establishing shots,
a lot of the establishing shots. Whereas like Nolan, so like some of his movies, he will oversee even Unit B coming in and doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, a lot of the good crazy directors do that. They're like, no,
Right.
I'm directing the entire movie.
My name's gonna be on this goddamn movie. I'm gonna direct the whole fucking thing.
Well, I'm Stanley Kubrick and I'll slap you.
I'll throw you down the goddamn stairs myself just to get an accurate shot.
I feel like Stanley Kubrick's in the room.
But so some directors will do that. Christopher Nolan, I know, having done that before, but I just wonder if this movie was such a large undertaking that he had to.
Yeah, I mean, there is a
sacrifice some of
lot
that.
here because, like, you know, I mean, you basically see 60% of the movie twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From different angles.
From different
Yeah.
angles
That's the
and
thing too. Like,
different perspectives.
I seen one of the reviews was people bitching about, oh, they used all the same fights
footage twice.
And I was like,
No, they
"It's
didn't.
not even the same footage.
No,
Like,
it's all from a different perspective.
yeah. Was it shot at the same time? Probably most of it,
Yeah.
but it's a totally different footage.
Yeah. You're basically doubling your coverage, right? Because, like, even if they used the same time through, like the same
Yeah.
take,
Well,
right?
he's also really good about something that I wish a lot of other directors would get down is like changing perspective of the character with the camera. Like,
Yes.
so, and he did that a lot in this because when you're seeing the protagonist fight himself, the first time you see it from him moving forward. The second time you see it, all the shots are from the reverse protagonist.
Right.
So, like, it's just like changing the camera angles and the over the shoulder views allows the viewer to follow perspective and also gives it a little bit more artistic integrity when you're switching.
Well, like the whole shooting cat scene was like almost over the shoulder third person of Sater.
Yeah.
You know, so like that's damn near fucking Hardcore Henry POV. You know, like.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you guys have ever watched Hardcore Henry, the whole movie is in POV of one character, which was the first time anybody's ever done that. And it was an interesting movie. I wouldn't say it was good, but it was interesting. If you have any problems with motion sickness, don't watch it.
I
Or-
haven't watched it because I think it will make me sick.
I just haven't watched it. There's not much that makes me sick other
Yeah.
than society.
Yeah. So, yeah, the cinematography, like, for the most part, is really
Yeah.
good.
75% of the time, it's good. And then there's just like these random parts where I'm just like, why is this boring?
But I also wonder if maybe, which would take a third rewatch for me to decide, but I also wonder if, like,
He just really wants to watch this week.
Sounds like it.
I wonder if, like, the shots that we're talking about being really good are so good that you can't follow them. Like, you can't follow up on them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I wonder if that's the case too. Like, if we picked out some of those scenes that we think are boring and put them next to, I don't know, something else, or just watched them
I think it was
individually.
more just like the juxtaposition against everything else that was in the movie.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that also follows with, you know, where you're talking about, like, there's so many smash cuts, which was something that I thought about when Kat was telling her story about Vietnam before they go back,
Mm-hmm.
was that those were, like, really fast flashbacks.
Yeah.
It was just like, blink and you'll miss it. Little snippets of what was happening in her mind, which is usually something where it's like, we're giving you enough of the image so that you remember it. We're making it extremely fast so that you're like, what did I miss? So then you think about it. So then you remember it. But we're not giving you enough of it to where you can actually see the connection to later.
Yeah.
Which I you know, obviously I remembered it. So because they got me. So I was like, I bet it's her. Like, I know this movie's about time travel and shit, but it's not some hoe that she thinks it is. It's her. And it was. But it also wasn't the same him. Which I
Nope.
thought that was cool.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, he just left. And I'm like, oh, look, he's coming back because it was a different him.
Right.
Yeah.
That whole part.
Yeah.
I loved that whole part. I loved this movie. It's just like there's a couple little things here and there, and silencers.
I was wondering if you were going to talk about that.
Chloroform. Hey guys, chloroform doesn't take you out in 2 seconds, and if it does, you're dead. You're not asleep. It's not sleepy bye.
Yeah, it means you're allergic to
It
it.
means you're allergic and you're dead. Like fucking dead.
Also,
anesthetics, you have to know people's metabolism rate and their
that's why we
body
know that.
weight and all this shit. And if you get it wrong, it either doesn't affect them or it can kill them. And it takes minutes to knock them out.
Right,
with it.
not 2 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a friend that's an anesthesiologist and has given us this information.
You got inside.
Well, I mean, I have a cousin who died from anesthesia, so.
Oh.
But anyway.
Okay.
Sorry.
It got dark.
I'm not trying to make this episode dark. It just keeps happening. But and then silencers, silencers aren't silencers, they're suppressors.
Yep.
When you shoot a gun and it has a suppressor on it, it's still really fucking loud. It's not quieter than the shell hitting the ground, which was the case in this movie. Normally I'm like, God damn it, that's stupid. But this movie, it literally was so fucking quiet. You heard the shell casing hitting more than you did the report of the gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also the first shot in the silencer is still really loud.
It's louder, yeah.
It's louder because you have to get the gas has to fill. And
Yep.
I got to fire a silencer once. It's fun.
Yeah. I shot one on a 22, but I haven't shot anything bigger. I want to get one.
They're expensive.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure you can't get it under 100 dB.
I think so. Yeah.
Which is
that's still in need of earplug range.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Honestly, you shouldn't shoot firearms with just earplugs. You should either at least wear over the ear headphones, or wear over the ear headphones and earplugs.
Yeah.
To actually protect your hearing.
Because they're loud.
They're loud as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Suppressors do not work that way. But
yeah.
And I thought it was funny because that and the chloroform thing, because it's trying to take itself seriously with their time travel stuff and being very detail oriented about some things and talking about the halide gas sucking the air, basically shoving all the air down and stuff. And then they're like, yeah, suppressors.
Ting, ting, ting.
And fucking chloroform knocking people out immediately. So those are really the big things that I have a problem with in this movie. I think a lot of the stuff, the reverse stuff, was believable as far as how it looked. As far as you can believe that, I don't. It's like an uncanny valley kind of, right? Because you're used to everything going forward. So it's does that look right for a reverse explosion? I don't know. Does it?
Looks good to me.
Yeah, it looks good to me.
Yeah.
So all the effects, I think, were fine.
I love the tidbit about the oxygen. Because if you're going backwards, you have to have your own oxygen that's traveling backwards with you. No, you just have to have your own oxygen.
You have to have forward oxygen.
Yeah, you have to have forward oxygen.
Yeah.
Because you can't. It doesn't pass the membrane. It was a little throwaway line, but I just loved that idea because
I feel like the transfer of heat thing, it works the same way, right?
Yeah.
So the air can't be absorbed because that's a forward movement through time, so it can only be unabsorbed, or it is only being unabsorbed as you're moving backwards through time.
Yeah.
Right. And there's nothing that does that in your lungs, so you can't breathe it in. You can breathe it in, but it won't absorb.
Yeah.
So you have to have stuff that's moving forward with you that is capable of being absorbed.
Yeah.
Kind of like because if you're in a fire it sucks the heat out instead
Right.
of because it's going backwards.
That's so we should explain that because I feel like we didn't explain that part.
Right.
You are moving backwards through time, and you are inverted, but it's the world around you that is actually moving backwards through time. So like it's
No,
easier.
you're moving backwards. The world is moving forwards. So that's what was going to break it was if you switched the world to moving backwards and everyone else was moving forwards because it would kill everyone.
Yeah. Okay. You're moving backwards, but because you're inverted,
You're experiencing everything backwards.
Around you is still moving forwards.
Right.
Yeah, but you're like moving backwards through it. So like if somebody is moving forward in time and they set a fire and you go through it, it's going to suck all the heat out of you because it's dying instead of coming up.
Yeah.
You know, it's not heating up, it's cooling off. So everything is reversed. And that's why like the osmosis or whatever of you absorbing oxygen doesn't work. With the oxygen there, you have to bring your own back.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Fucking cool.
But yeah, I think the effects were fine. I think that there was nothing like crazy that happened. The cinematography was mostly good. There was like the scenes that we talked about that were like, what the fuck? The acting was mostly phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially we touched on a little bit like the farewell scene between Robert Pattinson and John David Washington.
Yeah.
And I just fucking, even the second time, man. Second time even more so, actually. First time I was like, oh, that's sweet. And the second time I was like, God dang it, watch it with Shane, can't cry.
That's okay. I was doing the same thing.
I was probably crying too, but for different reasons. I don't know.
Just in the basement crying like,
Sometimes it happens, dog. You have a good cry.
yeah.
Yeah, and then like so I'm a stickler for dialogue, and I read a review that was trashing the dialogue of this movie, which I didn't understand at all because this is some of the best dialogue I've seen in a movie. I love John David Washington's single word replies through almost the entire movie. Like he asks questions and sometimes he has like a couple words or whatever, but all of his replies to people are super fucking short.
Yes.
And it's just fucking awesome and I love it. And a lot of the dialogue was poignant and like really had something to say. Like there is like a weird climate change message to the movie.
Yeah.
But it's not like in my face. It's not like beating me over the face for using plastic cups. It's just like,
so it's interesting though because the villain's the one that's saying it and the protagonist is like, well, you know, gotta look out for yourself first, and like just kind of like,
so who's really the bad guy?
Who's really
here?
the bad guy here? Wait a minute.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting, but I did want to bring that up and defend it in terms of like it's not.
No, I think whoever said that's probably real wrong.
It's not the happening, right?
Dude, like I took a shit this morning and it was better than the happening. Are you fucking serious? Come on now, you can't compare these movies.
Like it's no. I mean, there's no like there's no comparison between the two directors either. Christopher Nolan is a motherfucking genius and he has like a beautiful eye and like, can I gargle his balls any harder? Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I'm just trying not to get any on me.
I'm covered. I got in the splash zone.
I hear myself talking and I'm just like, am I in love with this man?
Okay, let's move on then. I'm done listening to you.
Dave's Trivia Corner?
I was going to say, does that bring us to Dave's
Yes,
Trivia
it
Corner?
does.
To Dave's Trivia
Let's do it.
Corner, where he will tell you some things that are kind of neat. I need to get Barry to auto-tune my voice there. Welcome to Dave's Trivia Corner, where the point of the corner is for you guys to go.
Oh, neat.
Boom, he's got it. I got so we talked about this earlier, and I'm glad we saved it for the corner. The production team purchased and then crashed a real 747 airplane into a hangar. The stunt was all practical effects with no visual effects or CGI. Director Christopher Nolan had originally planned to use miniatures and set piece builds. However, while scouting locations in Victorville, California, the team discovered a massive array of old planes. It became apparent that it would be actually more efficient to buy a real plane of the real size and to perform a sequence for real on camera.
Does that make you like that scene more?
No.
Oh.
It still looked like shit.
But it was a real plane.
I mean, that's cool. That's dope. I think they were scared to crash that real plane.
Well, it's an old plane, so maybe it just couldn't go very fast.
Maybe they
It's a
needed
real
some.
plane.
Maybe they needed
even
some
says
fucking
it-
plane
The guy
Viagra.
in the cockpit, he was
Plane agra.
Plane Agra.
the guy in the cockpit even says, he's like, "Come on, buddy," or "Come on, baby," or something, when he's like pushing the stick trying to get to go faster.
Mm. Yeah, because I mean, they like just kind of like hopped off and ran away because they were like, "Oh man, are those guys gonna be okay if we dump them down the chute?" And like they dumped them, and like it made it look like they were going pretty fast because they like tumbled and stuff. And then when the dudes get off that are like driving it into the side of the building, they like just kind of get off
kinda
and
walk
jog
a little bit,
away,
yeah.
and it like barely passes them as it's like kind of do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that fast.
No.
It needed plane Viagra.
It was not exciting.
I got another one.
Yes.
The word tenet presumably originated from the Satyr Square, a word square containing a 5-word Latin palindrome that date back to the ruins of Pompeii. The puzzle is a 5x5 square made up of 5 5-letter words written in 5 lines. Satyr, Arepo, tenet, opera, and rotas. In every direction the square is rotated, these 5 words appear both horizontally and vertically, a property that fits the time inversion feature of the film. It is also notable that all 5 words appear in the film.
Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh's character is named Andrea Satyr. Or Andrew,
Andre.
Andre, yeah, thank you. The forger responsible for the painting and cat, former lover is named Thomas Arepo.
Yep.
The term tenet is the name of the organization that the protagonist is recruited into. Opera refers to the location of the opening scene, and then Rotas is the name of the security company.
Yep.
Huh. Neat. Yeah. Actually, what I wanted to say was, holy fucking shit, that's awesome.
Boom.
That's pretty cool.
Drop some knowledge on y'all. I got
That's amazing. That's my favorite
3
piece
more.
of trivia that you've come to the table with so far.
Aw. Thanks, buddy.
That's good shit.
No, I'm hard. Shooting for the car chase sequence lasted 3 weeks and required the crew to close off 8 kilometers of a 6-lane highway down the center of Tallinn. They then shot the cars moving both forward and in reverse.
I don't want to live somewhere they make movies.
Yeah, right.
Shut lanes, shut highways down.
Fucking just like, fuck you. I don't give a fuck about your movie. I want to go home.
I gotta go to work.
Late to my shitty factory job and get fired because they're fucking making Transformers 72.
Got 2 more.
Keep
Two
going,
more.
bud.
There was much secrecy surrounding the project before its release. Actor Robert Pattinson said that he was only allowed to read the script in a locked office at Warner Brothers Studio. His co-star, Michael Caine, wasn't even allowed to read the entire screenplay. He was given his scenes only to read before shooting. Prior to the movie's release, Caine told press that he had no idea what the film was about, despite being a very close friend and a frequent collaborator of director Christopher Nolan.
Huh.
So Michael Caine
That's
didn't know
funny.
anything about it. And then, in addition to performing stunts backwards, the main cast actually learned how to speak in reverse for the roles.
Oh, fuck.
Sir Kenneth Branagh not only learned how to speak backwards, but also had to do it with a Russian accent, as he is Northern Irish in real life.
Holy
So-
shit.
I didn't even realize that was him.
Yeah, it's him.
The Russian accent really threw me off.
That's awesome.
I blew your guys' mind with that trivia corner, huh?
Yeah,
you
this
did.
is
That
a
was a
good
good
fucking
one.
trivia.
Finally paid off, huh?
Yeah,
Finally trekking to
good.
this corner like 10 miles away.
It's
Finally
fucking
paid
neat.
off.
Yeah. Dealing with the smell.
Fucking neat, brah.
This has been Dave's Trivia Corner.
Trivia corner.
That was
I
good.
like that one.
Cool.
Barry auto-tune that.
Yeah, add like 16 harmonies.
Uh,
So are we rating this now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's rate this motherfucker.
Probably should. This has been a long episode.
Let's fuck
Much
this pig.
like Tenet. I wish you'd quit saying that.
What?
Talking about fucking pigs.
Oh, well. I'm going to give it an 8. I think it's a really good movie. There's just some there's some weirdness with some of the cinematography that is not good. And like it's really bad when it's the like climactic scene of the whole fucking movie. And then dumb effects stuff where it's like, or I don't know that it's really effects, sound effects, I guess. And seriously, you guys just use like something in a needle that isn't chloroform. Just be like, they shot him up with some weird shit.
Benadryl.
Knocks you out. Yeah, Benadryl. Stop using chloroform, please. Please. But yeah, I mean that's mostly it. The acting was really good. The plot, I liked the plot. I liked the idea of it. One of the interesting things about the movie is that you don't this could very well be the beginning of a franchise because you don't get the big bad.
Yeah.
The big bad's still in the future.
Yeah.
You just get one of the guys that was doing the dirty work for the big bad.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like he is a like a lieutenant.
Yeah,
kind of.
He's an evil guy.
He's a bad guy and he's big and bad, but he's not the big bad evil guy. So, I mean, it could be the start of a franchise because it's the beginning for the protagonist, but the end for Neil. So Neil could even still be in it.
And they get up to some stuff.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
do.
so like this very well
So
could be
good.
the beginning of a fucking franchise. And like it was set up beautifully. Where some stuff it is not set up beautifully. So I think it was a good movie. You should watch it maybe twice. If you have a hard time following involved plots, maybe don't watch it because you're not going to get it.
I feel like that was like a shot to me, but
No.
You're
I mean,
not who it was a shot at.
No.
Oh.
Well, Russell, what did you think?
I'm going to give this movie an 8.5. And I'm going to tell you why.
Yep.
It gets an 8.5 because this is another movie.
Ain't nothing but a 8.5.
Tell me why.
He's giving this an 8.5.
Tell me why.
Because every time I talk about this movie, I'm going to have to argue with somebody about it. That's going to piss me off. No, I mean, genuinely, one of the reasons I want to give it an 8.5 is because I love when a movie doesn't beat me over the head. And I loved this movie.
Yeah.
I love having to watch this movie a second time. I love that I'm going to watch this movie a third time if I don't have to work this weekend. Because it's 2.5 fucking hours.
Yeah.
But it's 2.5 engaging hours.
Yes.
Like it's a good 2.5 hour movie. Like I wouldn't shorten it. I wouldn't add any length to it. Like this is like the perfect fit. But there are, a couple things that we talked about. There are some of the establishing shots, which like established shots aren't really hard to make interesting. And I'm not really sure what happened, but
No,
I do
I don't.
agree with you on that.
That's why it was so like glaring and disappointing.
Yeah. And I do wish it would have explained a little bit more stuff. And then I want to take you on a journey.
Oh God.
In the beginning of the
hop on
film.
board.
So this is the thing that I think is a plot hole and or funny. And or both. In the beginning of the film, John David Washington's character gets kidnapped. And under his patch, there's a hole, or there's a pouch where he keeps his cyanide capsule that the secret Russian guy takes from him. So Chekhov's gun is don't show something in the first act that you're not going to use in the third act. So John David Washington doesn't take his cyanide capsule. He takes the guy who was kidnapped with him. Cyanide capsule. So it is to be assumed that the cyanide capsule that was lifted off of the CIA agent is the same cyanide capsule that is shown in the final act of the movie that Sater has in his hand. Because I don't know why it wouldn't be. And he even says that it was lifted off of ex-CIA agent. Which I assume he just doesn't put together that it's the same CIA agent from the beginning of the film, which is also the protagonist. So then that's how he's going to kill himself, is by taking this cyanide capsule that makes everyone else around you think that you're dead, but doesn't actually kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, she killed him the whole time.
Yeah,
What's happened.
Yeah, right. What's happened. But I just thought it was funny that even if he was going to kill himself, he's not actually going to kill himself.
Yeah.
Because that was the whole purpose of those cyanide capsules. Plot hole or funny? I don't know. Definitely funny though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I give it an 8.5.
All right.
Nice.
Dave.
So I talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm going to give this a 7.5.
Fuck you, Dave.
Hold on. We talked about earlier. I'm going to watch it before the next time we record. And I'm going to pick up more stuff, and then I'll do a little bit of my second viewing thing next week. And I'll probably rate it higher then.
I like you, Dave.
I like you too.
You always did.
But I enjoyed it. It kind of confused me in parts, but like I figured it out, and like after kind of sitting on it after I watched it, it made more sense. There was a couple times where it seemed like the whole plot was like Christopher Nolan was doing this like complicated plot just to be cool. Sort of felt like a little bit.
So you thought the movie felt pretentious?
A little,
Yeah.
but not like glaringly pretentious. It's just kind of like, this is interesting because this is complicated. You might not get it. Sunglasses.
Like kind of like in the same way that like Bruce Wayne is pretentious.
Yeah.
So we're getting that.
Yeah. But like I mean, because Christopher Nolan is Batman. But yeah, 7.5. Next week I will have watched it if I can squeeze 2.5 hours somewhere. And I'll do a little thing about it. And I'll probably rate it higher. We'll see, or lower. Who knows?
Yeah, I hope it's higher. I hope you enjoy it more on the second watch. I genuinely do, not just because I think it's a great movie, but like just because like I like watching it the second time. I was just like, and the first time I didn't take my eyes off the TV. I was just like, fucking reading subtitles, fucking watching the movie, like fucking all in. Like no one was around me. It was fucking great. And then the second time, I was even more so like, fuck, so good. But one thing I did want to mention was, I like Christopher Nolan. I watched fucking Memento when I was younger, and like Batman Begins and Prestige, and just I've always followed his work, and I love pretty much all of his movies. I think the only one I have to watch is Dunkirk. I'd probably say The Dark Knight Rises is his weakest movie, but
I would probably agree to that.
I don't understand why he thought this. I don't get it at all, especially after watching this movie, because I think he gives people more credit than maybe he should, like, because he thought what he said was he was like I'm gonna bring people back into the theaters with Tenet. Tenet is gonna save cinema. That I think is pretentious as fuck.
Right.
Because I watched this movie and I was immediately like 20 minutes into this movie, I was like, this movie is not for everybody.
No.
This movie's not
This
for
is not
everybody
even
at all.
close to the kind of movie that would do that.
Yeah. And I just think the only thing I can reconcile is that I think he thought this was closer to Inception than what it actually is, because it's not. Like, these are still two different movies. Inception beat you over the head with what it was doing. This movie does not.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll shut up now.
No. I like hearing you talk, buddy.
I'm glad someone does. Hopefully our listeners do, because I did a lot of it this episode.
Yeah.
I'm still doing it. You should do the thing.
Okay. Well, thanks for listening. This has been DQP Does, where we watch Tenet. And next week we will be doing Back to the Future, because we've done, what was the movie before this, Russell?
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. We did Edge of Tomorrow. We did Tenet. 2 sort of time travel movies. Now we're going to do actual time travel, like actually going back and forward in time. We're going to do all 3 Back to the Future movies, and then we're going to watch the Tomorrow War on Amazon Prime
original, starring Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
and some other people.
There was other people in it that I recognize, but I don't
It's
remember
just
them
Chris
off.
Pratt.
It's just him.
Chris Pratt in 12 roles.
Yep.
I'd watch that, actually.
So
Yeah,
we're watching Back to the Future.
Yes. 1, 2, and 3.
So we don't need money. We don't need fame. Don't need no credit card to ride this train. It's Huey Lewis in the news.
I'm taking next week off.
Apparently I am too. Fuck.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm not the man they send in to negotiate or the man they send to make deals, but I am the man people talk to.
This has been a production of the Drafty Quarters Podcast Network.